Howdy partners, it's so good to be here again, as always. I gotta say, it's been a great week at the cinema for independent films. Of course, everyone is going to see Superman tonight, and I might just go check it out. It seems pretty good, all things considered. But my priority was to go check out Sorry Baby, a film that's been getting quite a lot of buzz lately. And of course, the cat on the poster is insanely cute, and that meow at the end of the trailer, melts my heart. But what really piqued my curiosity is that Eva Victor not only plays the protagonist in this film, Agnes, but also wrote and directed this film, and it also happens to be their debut feature film. So indeed an ambitious feat for a debut film, where thankfully the talent follows through in spades. This is the story of Agnes, and at the beginning of the film, she is reuniting with her dear friend Liddy, who moved out of town a while ago. And she is played by a brilliant Naomi Ackie, who seems to be on a bit of a win streak lately. We saw her earlier this year in Mickey 17, and the year before in Blink Twice. Clearly a young talent on the rise. In any case, she is in love and married, and she came back here to check up on her good friend, who seems to be doing pretty well professionally speaking. She is now a full-time teacher, which at her age is a remarkable achievement. She is teaching English literature, if I recall correctly, and throughout the rest of the film we get to see the path that it took to get her to where she is today, through the use of this non-linear narrative structure, as we've seen so many times now because of Pulp Fiction, or and most recently last year I'm thinking of Strange Darling. Though luckily it does use it to great narrative effect, and not just as a cheap gimmick. And it is interesting to see early on in the film this kind of tension between some of her colleagues, if we're being honest, with one rival in particular who is totally obnoxious, who accuses her of having an easy path to get to the success she has. But it is immediately obvious that there's trauma that led to where she is today. And the way Eva Victor communicates this to us is very clever through its use of show don't tell, which is something I always appreciate in film. Don't treat us as idiots who can't figure things out on our own, just give us the puzzle pieces and we'll put it together. And the film does do that a lot. Of course, I'm not going to spoil what that traumatic event was, and the film as well doesn't directly show it to us, but it gives us all the info we need. There's a very haunting moment where the camera lingers and we see the passage of time through this one location. A cinematographic moment that will definitely stay in my mind. And then there's even these minute attention details where even something as mundane as untied shoelaces has this crushing weight about it. Honestly, there's this great mastery in the mise-en-scène of this film that is very low-key but rewarding for those who are paying attention to those details. Some of them are relatively obvious, like the meaning of her newly acquired office and like what history that has to her. But there's another moment in the film that really stands out in my mind, and I thought it works on a much more symbolic level, where Agnes blocks off the view from her window, and what she uses to block out the window I thought was very notable, and once again a very symbolic way to show just how trapped she is in that trauma she's living in. Kind of like it's obscuring her vision. And it is surprising given the context of the film just how funny it can be. Admittedly, it does have some gallows humor, and it is very self-deprecating in many ways, but it can be a genuinely funny film at times. No easy task to make a comedy out of such dark material, but yet it does. And I think the cast does wonders to help in that regard, because they're so effective in accentuating the drama, as well as on the other hand releasing that tension through comedy and friendship. Eva Victor as the lead is awkward and honestly super cringe, but at the same time equally super charismatic. You just can't help but root for Agnes and hope that they heal through this trauma. And then Naomi Ackie, as I previously alluded, is simply brilliant in this film. Truly the ultimate BFF. She's the kind of friend that if ever you found yourself in a situation where you killed someone and you needed help to bury the body, she wouldn't even ask questions, she'd get the shovel and help you cover the incriminating evidence. Jokes aside, I really love the chemistry that both of them had on screen. It's something truly beautiful and inspiring to witness. And then we have Lucas Hedges' character, who has relatively little screen time. He's Agnes's neighbor, and I will admit his character arc is probably one of the aspects of the film that I'm least keen on. He's basically this awkward, cringe booty call for the whole film. A friends with benefits neighbor, if you will, which makes his character development a little one-dimensional. But even so, I do find him to be very endearing and has this very warm personality. And if nothing else, he serves as a reminder that there are good, simple men out there in the world. So I am glad that Agnes got to experience someone like him at this point in her life. And then we have John Carroll Lynch, who appears in the film for one scene, and he has a terrific moment in the film. It is a scene that truly resonated with me, and I imagine it will for many people. A definite major highlight for me in the film. Additionally, there are a few bits of classics included in the film that make an interesting parallel with the drama that's being told on screen. There's a classic courtroom drama, 12 Angry Men, which I'm happy to say that I finally watched not that long ago. Truly a classic film that's still just as great today as it was back then. In any case, that film foreshadows a chapter in Agnes' life where they're in a moment of deep self-reflection and questioning. And then there's a moment where we get to see Agnes teach English literature, and of all the books that could have been chosen, it was Vladimir Nabokov's Lolita. If you've read this book or seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. And it truly is the perfect satirical piece of literature to bring into this movie. And the film does bring up an interesting commentary on that time-old struggle between our appreciation for the form and presentation of the very lyrical use of words in this book, and having that contrast with the genuinely disturbing behavior of the protagonist of that book. The film doesn't necessarily provide us with any conclusions on that front, and indeed the film itself doesn't necessarily reach to a definitive final destination. It's more of a journey in a process of healing and self-reflection, but it is a thought-provoking moment for me that lives on in my mind after leaving the cinema. And finally, I do genuinely love how the film bookends with the title of the film. The way that was integrated in the film I thought was very smart. So as you can see, this is a very raw piece of drama that isn't necessarily always easy to watch. I imagine it will trigger some people. It does have some sharp edges. It's not exactly a smooth experience, but it's a very thought-provoking one, and it is handled with grace and nuance. And once again, considering that this is a first feature film from Eva Victor, it is the most assured piece of independent filmmaking, which is why I'm rating it an 8.5 out of 10. This is one hell of a debut, and I'm expecting to see at least 1 or 2 Oscar nominations for this at the next Academy Awards ceremony. I'm clearly thinking of the Best Original Screenplay category and perhaps an acting nod. Only time will tell, but certainly the hype about this film was definitely real. Go check it out. And with all that being said, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.